Patiently awaiting the Lord's coming from TableTalk Magazine gently calls us to steady hearts and quiet trust. Drawing from James chapter 5, verses 7 through 8, where patience blooms like a field awaiting rain and hope stretches toward the promised return of Christ. In the midst of toil and trial, we are invited to rest, not in haste, but in the certainty that the harvest will surely come in its appointed time. Now for our reading. Therefore be patient, brethren, until the coming of the Lord. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, waiting patiently for it until it receives the early and latter rain. You also be patient. Establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. James chapter 5, verses 7 through 8. Some of the Christians to whom James wrote belonged to the middle class, and perhaps some of them were even wealthy. We learn as much from his directives concerning business, God's providence, and planning recorded in James chapter 4, verses 13 though 16. His words make no sense unless at least some of his original readers engaged in commercial enterprises and made a fairly good living. Others in James's original audience, however, lived in significant poverty and were exploited by wealthy, non-Christian landowners. These individuals are personified as the righteous person who does not resist his oppressors. In reality, there was not much that they could do to gain relief given the political and social realities of their day. One thing that these impoverished believers could do, however, was to respond with godly patience to their trials, and this is what James commends in today's passage. Specifically, James tells his readers to be patient until the coming of the Lord. Here the apostle makes another reference to the last day, associating it particularly with the return of Christ. Earlier he warned wealthy unbelievers that this last day will be a day of judgment and condemnation, but when he calls us to patience in light of the Lord's coming, he is exhorting us to see the last day as a day of victory and reversal of fortune. James's words are in keeping with those of the Old Testament prophets, who foresaw a day when all will be set right, when God's oppressed people will be exalted and rescued from their difficulties. James has returned to one of the main themes of his letter, responding rightly to trials, looking to the certainty of the Lord's coming. Whatever the hardship we face in the present, knowing that Christ is returning to set all things right can help us patiently endure our troubles. James uses an agricultural metaphor to underscore the certainty of the Lord's return and the benefits of patience. His original audience was familiar with the rainy season in the Holy Land, when the early rains of autumn and the late rains of spring were vital for farming. The coming of these rains was sure to bring a harvest, but the farmers had to wait patiently for and through them until the earth yielded its fruit. In the same way, we must wait patiently for the return of Christ, which will certainly come and which will bring us final rescue from all our travails. The farming metaphor that James uses helps us see that patience does not mean inactivity. Farmers cannot make their crops grow, but they can work the soil, make preparations for future harvests, and more while they wait for the rains to do their work on the seed they have planted. Similarly, as we wait for Christ's return, we can pray for its coming, proclaim the gospel, disciple the nations, and faithfully serve in all the ways that God has called us to serve. This concludes our reading. Thank you for listening.